Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast, where we've got another big festival on the horizon. It is Aintree Eve. 3 days we've got coming up for the Randox Grand National Festival. We are going to be previewing days 1 and 2, so Thursday and Friday in that order. We will go with the usual festival format. So the grade ones, there's 4 grade ones each day, and then we'll be doing any other bets on the day, then best bets on the day before moving on. Our Grand National preview is going to take place 6 p.m. tomorrow. That is Thursday, so you'll have nigh on 48 hours ahead of the big race. But a stellar team amassed for you this evening, and that is Micheál, Deasy, Sam Turner, and Declan Rix. Hello, everyone. How are we?
Hello.
Big mass wave.
Greetings, Tom.
It's a good team. It's a good team. So hopefully plenty of winners coming your way in the without market if you're Rixy. Right, Dease, kick us off with that offer. So a small shift to the offer. Go on, take us through it.
Yeah, so our sign-up offer is now 0% commission on all sports for the first 30 days. So if you sign up today with bonus code insights, you're getting 0% commission for a month. And that 30 days is judged on is counted from the date of registration. So some great value for the end of the season.
And of course, it's across all sports. So you'll be, whichever sport you're playing in, you will be guaranteed best odds with that 0% commission, even though you will be anyway, give on the Matchbook exchange pretty much. Use that bonus codes insights for that offer. Right. High time we get on with the race previews. So first of all, 1:45 at Aintree is the first of the grade ones. Kicking off the action tomorrow. That is Thursday afternoon. And this is how they bet. Deasy.
So Hitman is the favourite at 3.9. Then you have the Shunter at 5.1. Eldorado Allen is 9.0. Then you have Protectorat is 10.5. Umbrigado is 11.5. Phoenix Way is 26.0. And Fusel Raffles is in there at 4.2.
Right, Dease, I want you to kick us off because I'm pretty sure you put this horse up for Cheltenham and then sort of said if he goes to Aintree, that might suit even more. So I take it you're a Hitman fan.
Very sweet on Hitman, yeah. I was interested in because he was a big price for the Marsh at Cheltenham, and he ran. I think it was the weekend before it, and he's been, well, not saved for this, but this was his target, his nominated target. I think he's a class horse. I think he travels very well, and he's a lovely jumper. No, not much imagination putting up the favourite, but I think he's favourite for the reason he's been backed into favouritism ahead of Fusel Raffles overnight. So if the money keeps coming, I would be very, very sweet. And I might say he's my best bet of the day, giving that away early.
Straight in, you're allowed to. There you go. Best bet material for Hitman. Sam, I know I'm not saying you agree best bet wise, but you're with Hitman as well.
Yeah, just on the basis that he's going to be fresher than most. I think he's had this as his target for much of the season, if I'm honest. Like him a lot. A bit unlucky that he came down at Sandown 2 starts ago. He's in the process of running a massive race there. I think if Harry Cobden could have had his time again, perhaps the time before, behind All Mankind, he might have gone after him a little bit sooner. I think a flat track, some decent ground, 2.5 miles should be absolutely A1 for him. Might just help his jumping a little bit as well. Travels powerfully. Should get a good pace here as well with the likes of perhaps the Shunter. What else is going to lead? Protectorat, with the wind operation, the tongue tie and all sorts. He'll probably try and serve it up to them from the front under an aggressive Harry Skelton. So hopefully a good pace for Hitman to aim at. He'll do for me.
Just off the back of that, DC, come back in on this, and Rixie, if you want to say anything on it too. A horse that skipped Cheltenham for Aintree, do you like that kind of profile, or does it genuinely depend horse to horse?
I think it depends horse to horse. It would have been something I would have kind of been mindful of years ago, but then you look at like Tiger Roll winning the longest race at Cheltenham and then going on to winning the longest race at Aintree every year. So it'll suit some horses and it won't. Like I wouldn't be interested in the 3 mile novice hurdlers who would have run in the Albert Bartlett and coming onto this. I think that'd be kind of a hard one, but for some horses, I don't think it'll be an issue, and it might bring some of them on. Some of them might actually run better on this for having to run at Cheltenham.
I sometimes find that I get lured into a sort of they skipped Cheltenham for this, and therefore I just wonder if those types of horses are slightly overbet or not. That's not saying they are. It's just I'm just throwing it out there. Anyone want to come back in on that?
Just quickly, yeah, I would possibly agree with you, and I think Deasy has hit the nail on the head. It's best to judge them in individual cases, and we have had 3 weeks plus from Cheltenham as well, so sometimes that's a foreshortened gap between Cheltenham and Aintree. But I think in these colours, Jed Mason, Sir Alex Ferguson, Merseyside, and winning in Liverpool has always been Sir Alex. He's always loved that as a mischief maker. So. I think that these horses throughout this card, Hitman, Monmoral and Clan de Zopo, they'll have all had these as primary targets, whereas one or two of the other horses, perhaps it's a bit of an afterthought.
They are starting very strong, aren't they, with those first 3 Grade 1s? Rixie, you like Protectorat?
Yeah, I just at the prices, it's basically it. I'd echo a lot of what the lad said about Hitman. He's a very likeable horse, being saved for this, jumps well. Funny enough, actually, the 2 times that he went to Sandown, it was while he's a very good jumper, it was actually the railway fences which gave him most trouble the 2 times he's been there. So I'm not sure if there's anything in that. But look, I like that he's being saved for this. He's fresh. He's coming here in good order. The Nichols team, they've been in good order for the whole season nearly, and they continue in that vein. But I just think, in terms of ratings and figures and all this, I don't think there's a lot between many of these on their best. And I'm putting my faith in the wind operation and the first time tongue tie, bringing Protectorat back to what he did at Cheltenham earlier in the season, because this horse absolutely jumps for fun. He travels for fun. I think those strengths, if he's on the top of his game, are going to play to his strengths here at Aintree. So look, I would just keep an eye on the market and just see what the market is saying, because he's obviously disappointed the last time at Kelso, and he was a little bit disappointing the last time before that at Wincanton as well. But I've always thought this fella looks better on a left-handed track. He's going to get that here at Aintree. So as long as Harry Skelton doesn't go absolutely insane and sets it up for everyone here, he's going to have to be a lot more measured here than he was at Cheltenham, because it's harder to get breathers in horses on these flat tracks. So as long as Harry Skelton doesn't go mental, I think he could run well. But just keep a look on the market. He could be a good back to lay actually in this race. But I think if Protectorat brings his best in what he did at Cheltenham earlier in the season, I think he's got every chance of winning this. A much better chance than the odds imply.
That's Protectorat. And for me, it was between him and the Shunter. And I came down thinking the Shunter should probably be Fav, personally.
Really?
Yeah, I thought he absolutely tanked through that last time.
There's been a lot of money for him as well already.
Yeah.
I think
just
this
don't
is a
trust
big step up for him.
Yeah.
I don't trust Fusel Raffles at all. I'm not certain that form is. I'm not keen on the Chantry House form, to be honest. Either bits of them. I don't trust that horse a huge amount. And I thought Hitman was short based upon what he's achieved as well. The Shunters rated higher than Hitman. I thought he won that race. So I know he had a £7 claimer on, and he won it off 140. But he wants good ground. This is his perfect trip. I think I know he's progressed at a rate of knots this year. I just think he's a proper horse, and I'm with him. He's not best bet material, but I'm very much with him. And the other thing I think will suit, I don't think they'll go forward with him, but I think there will be plenty of pace in the race. I think it will suit him as well.
He did. I thought he got given the pace of the race at Cheltenham in the plate, I thought he had total run of the race. If you were on a hold-up horse in that race, you were really, really, really going to struggle. I thought he was given a good ride by Jordan Gainford. Obviously doesn't get £7 here. Up in trip, up in class. The gallop's probably going to be stronger as well. I thought if he keeps shortening, I was going to potentially even lay him. But I thought, on the ratings I have, I thought he's the penultimate best horse in this.
Really?
Yeah.
You'd have, but I mean, this is interesting. So you'd have, who would you have?
Well,
so out of interest, would you have Phoenix Way as sort of lowest quality, and you'd have Umbrigado and
yeah, I've got the Shunter on 144p, Umbrigado on 146, Hitman on 150p, Fusel Raffles 151, Eldorado Allen 148.
Where's Protectorat?
Protectorat is 152, but that 152, yeah, he's top rated with me, but that obviously he's been below that the last 2 times. So I'm hoping, as I said earlier, the wind up can really bring him on. But look, they're backing him again. These boys weren't just happy with the 100 grand bonus at Cheltenham. They punted him again. So we shall see. They're a shrewd operation.
And the other thing I think is worth taking into account is I was lucky enough to interview the trainer the other day, and he did point out that it was all about Cheltenham, and this isn't an afterthought; it's the obvious step. But he had the hurdles entry as well, but it was all about the bonus for Cheltenham. That was the main thing for him. So maybe that's worth taking into account. I just think he comes here flying, and I trust him a bit more than the 2 that are ahead of him in the betting, and really the others as well. I thought he was the solid play in the race, personally. Anything to add to the manifesto?
No, we've already spent too long on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Published the manifesto, Tom.
2:20 we kick on for the Juvenile Hurdle. And take it away, Dees.
So Micheál is the favourite at 2.06. Then you have Adagio 2.74. 5 and 20 is 15.5. John Locke is 17.0. Paras is 34.0. And Carlos Felix is 140.0.
All right, Sam, I'll come back to you because I know you like Micheál again. And these colours, you've already made a point on them targeting this meeting. He's been very good so far, hasn't he?
He has. He's certainly not the best bet of the week, really, at the odds, but it's a desperately weak race. I mean, really disappointing for a race of this nature. I mean, the level and the quality of the juveniles. I mean, yeah, okay, the Cheltenham race was good. Quilixios and Zana here were head and shoulders above everything that we'd seen in the juvenile sphere. One ran his race, one didn't. So they were 2 exceptional juveniles. But other than that, there was a real dearth of quality. I'm hoping that Micheál can, potentially just fill some of that void and some of that gap and add a bit of class to the division, to be honest. I do think he's a 2 mile chaser in the making, or a 2.5 mile chaser in the making. He's probably not a natural hurdler. He's a bit gangly. He's a bit of a, I don't know. He's like one of those kids at school from 14 to 15 have a massive growth spurt. He doesn't look the natural hurdler like Adagio does, who's quite slick and quite efficient and quite effective over his hurdles. Micheál's, just looks at an embryonic chaser in making, but hopefully he's got the class that he can see off Adagio. I do think they probably bet a little bit better now than they did. I think they deserve to be closer together, these 2. I'd probably go 6-4 each of 2 if I'm honest, because you've got the Triumph Hurdle form well represented, and Micheál, you're betting potential really rather than proven ability, albeit they've both beaten the same type of horse in Nassalam and virtually the same sort of distance. So there doesn't look a lot between them. So I thought 10 to 11, 5 to 6 for Micheál was a bit on the skinny side when you could get 2 to 1 Adagio. But I don't mind the drying ground for the favourite. I think that'll suit him more than Adagio. It looks a bit of a slugger to me. So I'll stick with him, and hopefully Paul Nicholls can have a double in the 2 early grade ones on the meeting.
I'll just pick up off on the back of that because I'm going for Adagio, but I made the selection about 11 o'clock this morning, and he was a little bit bigger, and you've highlighted the exact reasons why. I'm wary that he had a tough old race in the Triumph. Now he's definitely got the best form coming into this for me, and you are going on potential for Micheál. I could argue they should even be a little bit closer together, but my enthusiasm is tempered by them being a little bit closer than they were earlier on. I'd be very much small interest bet Adagio, and I've really got nothing else to add. Rixie, you like Micheál again? How much?
Yeah, I think it was just a term of, we're trying to give people winners, and I think what Sam says in terms of value in this race, I'd probably agree with. The market is probably a little bit too one-sided in terms of Micheál's favour, but it's just that freshness angle again, and with the juvenile hurdlers, it looked like midway through the season we were going to have an exceptional bunch, but after what we saw at Cheltenham, I'm just not really sure. Zani here, fair enough, didn't run his race, but Quilixios did, obviously. But I didn't think there was too much between them going into the race anyway. I'm just not sure the Triumph form came out as strong post-race as we thought it would be pre-race. And with the Nicholls team in good order, Micheál, he does everything right. He jumps well. He picks up well. I wouldn't like the ground to get too quick for him because he does hit the ground a little bit hard. Got a knee action, but just that freshness angle. And he's top rated with me again. You know, I think he's the most likely winner, but I do think in terms of what Sam's saying, the price difference is maybe a little bit too much of a difference. But you know, as a famous man once said, let's just back winners. So that's what we're trying to do here.
Who was that man?
Good old Icy. We'll give him a nudge.
What about his other saying? What about, do you play by the other adage as well? Do you want to repeat that one?
Go on. What one is that?
Nobody knows anything.
Oh, fact. Yeah, we're all just a bunch of guessers. We're supposed to know stuff when we're getting paid for this, but we haven't a clue. Let's be honest.
We're going to clip that up and put it out on social, Rixie. Lovely stuff.
Well, I don't think it's not as if anyone's going to find out anything new about me personally, so we're all right.
It sounds like we're singing from a similar hymn sheet then, even though we've got slightly different selections with all of us, except Deasy, you're going for one at a bit more of a price?
Yeah, I think Micheál is the best horse in the race, but he's too short, and these are 4-year-olds, so I'm going for something a bit different. I'm going for Paras, Nicky Henderson's horse. Now, he has won the last 2 runnings of this, and Paras has actually a very similar prep to We Have a Dream, who won it 3 years ago. He prepped with a win at Musselburgh. So has Paras. Paras was a completely changed horse last time in his running style, in his winning. He pulled very hard and was a bit all over the place in his first 2 runs, but I thought he was very slick over his hurdles the last time, and he won fairly authoritatively. Now, he has been drifting like a barge since the prices went up on this. I think he was 12.0 yesterday. Now he's 30 something, but I'm hoping that's because all the money is going in the top 2 in the market. So I'm going to take a little swing at him, just a small bet, win only.
Paros for you. That's the 4-year-old Juvenile Hurdle. We move on. Hi, Helen. You're involved. Thank you very much for that lovely comment. It is on the upper limits, my quiff, she says. And any more and it's flops, Phil. Don't know about that.
Is she still talking about your hair?
Who knows? We move on. But hi, Helen. Lovely to have you along.
To be fair, you do look like Mary Wilson. That's one for the older viewers.
I'm going to Google Mary Wilson while Deasy's giving out the prices for the next race.
She had what they call a beehive, Tom.
So the prices for the Betway Bowl is Candace Oboe is the favourite at 3.85. Then you have Waiting Patiently is 5.2. Tiger Roll is 7.6. Native River is 8.2. Clondalk Castle is 8.2. Mr. Fisher is 9.2. Real Estate is 14.5. And his big price is then the other 2.
I've Googled Mary Wilson. I'm taking it as a compliment. Right, we've got a team steam here. I thought I was being all clever going against anything that was up there in the betting. And 3 of us have gone for the good thing, Clondalk Castle.
No way.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? Look, Clanders Oboe, I don't know. I mean, I get the cheap pieces might help. They may have targeted, fair enough. But at the price is not for me. Waiting Patiently certainly isn't at the prices. I can see him running a good race. Tiger Roll, get it. It should be in the National. It's just irresponsible if anyone supports or backs this horse. In my opinion. Clondalk Castle, I thought that was a good performance last time. He's unexposed stayer. He gets his ground. I thought Win and Place, very much, he is a sound play, Win and Place in a 9-runner field, even if one comes out, and a really sound one at that. Sam, what would you like to add to that? Would you be going Win and Place as well?
Oh, I would. Like you, looking down the race, Clanders Oboe's done one piece of work, I think, in the cheap pieces, went very sweetly, but he hasn't done too much because they don't want to lose the effect of it. Waiting Patiently, well, you certainly are if you're waiting for him to win. Tiger Roll, agree your sentiments entirely. It's an utter disgrace. I mean, quite how they say he's not in the National because he's rated the same as Gold Cup horses, but he does what Gold Cup horses don't necessarily do. He wins races, unusual races, so you can't handicap him exactly the same, surely. And if they wanted him to run off a lower mark, then they should have run him in races where he was going to get dropped early on in the season. Anyway,
And I don't think he'll like this. I just don't think he'll like this test, Sam. I think this is so different. I just can't have him. Anyway, go on.
I think the ground will help him. What I can't understand is taking Keith Donoghue off him.
Agree.
That I don't get that at all. But anyway, there we go. Native River, surely he'll get taken off his legs on decent ground. I know Saleka of Armand de Clark, the course, is putting plenty on water-wise, but can't have that. Mr. Fisher was punch drunk at the end of the Ryanair. I thought he ran well to a point, better than his finishing position. Real Steel ASO and Militarian, they may as well send the pictures now. So I'm left with sort of Clondor Castle, who took a massive leap forward in winning that valuable 3-mile chase at Kempton. It was a race that Tom George used 10 years ago in Nakarat, who actually got beat in that race and then came on and won this race. About 7-2 chance. So I don't know what. Well, Denman was in the race for a start, so they obviously knew they'd got a fairly decent horse for him to go off 7-2 against Denman, albeit even round here. So I just think he's a really fair each way bet. Johnny Burke gets on well with him. The 3 miles, he's obviously improved massively for it. The decent surface, the flat track, the fact that Tom George has targeted this race, I think, for quite a chunk of the season. There's just a lot of positives. Cue him crashing out at the first, but I think he'll run really well. Hopefully.
What do you want to add to that, Micheál Deasy?
Yeah, like Sam has said it all there. Just even if you just go back through and look at all these horses, their last run, like Native or what's this? Sorry, I'm after losing them here now again. Clondalk Castle's last one was the best of them all. Bar, we'll say Tiger Road. And I think that, like Sam said, he's been laid out for this, and he'll go very close at a nice price. Although I'd love to see Tiger Roll win, just so that the O'Learys can just troll the whole world and just drive everyone insane because they love it so much. But
if he wins, Dease, they'll be trolling themselves, won't they? Because if he goes and wins a Grade 1, he should be running in a handicap and winning it on the bridle, shouldn't he?
I think driving the whole world insane would mean a lot more to Michael O'Leary than a third Grand National.
Well, he does that already. He doesn't need to do it for a racehorse.
Yeah, having just millions of people cursing, that would just be the best thing ever for him. So,
so true. Rixie, you are going with the first-time cheek pieces in Clan.
Yeah, look, I am a bit of an unoriginal selection, but he's potentially a big price here. There seemed so many doom and gloom merchants the last day when he was beating the Denman, but look, obviously it wasn't his best run, but like Seeker Investor is no mug. He had to give him £6. Seeker Investor also got a brilliant ride from Bryony Frosh. He controlled the pace. In the meantime, Clan des Obeaux and Harry Coblin kind of forfeited a little bit of ground and was wide in places as well. And that's just something I've noticed as well with Harry Coblin. So many races he's wide. He just cannot keep doing that at this level. You know, you've got at this level, you've got to be braver. He does it so many times. McFabulous, who we'll chat about later, he's done it with him as well. And look, just get him down the inside, get him jump. This horse jumps for fun. He was disappointing in the King George this year, but I'm in no doubt in my mind that the Betfair chase left a mark on him, and that's why he ran below par. And I thought his run at Newbury, I thought it showed him he was a tough horse to bounce back again and run to a good level. Look, people I think were just blatantly disrespecting Seeker Investor going into that race, especially given he was £6 and he was the lone pace angle. So and there was good ground at Newbury that day. Seeker Investor on that type of ground is a decent animal. So look, I wasn't all doom and gloom, and I think the cheek pieces are a brilliant move. I think didn't Nichols win a King George with Silviniaco Conti one year, putting headgear on him, and it worked. And they were coming to similar stage in their careers. You know, he's getting on now. Harry Cobden was squeezing him along at Newbury, on and off the bridle, you could see. But to be fair to the horse, he always responded. So if the cheek pieces have a desired effect and he travels to his race better, I think there's a good chance of him winning. Now, I do respect waiting patiently because his run in the King George was a very good run, and we shouldn't forget that he finished ahead of Clan des Obeaux that day. But as Sam kind of alluded to earlier, we're waiting patiently to not just to see him win, but to see him run sometimes. So I'm putting my faith in Paul Nichols having his horse in better order than Ruth Jefferson will will her steed. So I think Clan de Zobo is the best bet on day one of the Grand National meeting. So yeah, bring it on.
Best bet material. I love it. Yeah, Conti won the Grade 1 at Haydock in first time cheap pieces, and then he won the Ascot Chase in first time blinkers. So he's not afraid to use them, and he's used them wisely. Anything to add to the bowl? We move on to the Aintree Hurdle. It's a tight little heat this again. Prices, Deasy.
Yeah. So Jason the Militant is favourite at 4.2. A lot of money for him. Excuse me. Abracadabras is 5.2. McFabulous is 8.0. Blowing Up a Storm is 8.2. Song for Someone is 12.5. Bouverdare is 13.0. Silver Streak is 17.0. Buzz is 17.0. And then Not So Sleepy is 21.0. And it's big prices than the rest.
Right. Love it. Got some prices in here. Jason the Militant, 4.2. Fair enough. They're in form, but I think that's short. Rixie, Song for Someone, 12.5. Discuss.
Pretty simple case for me. He's top rated on my ratings, and he's about 12 or 14 to 1, I think. So I've got to back him. He's probably the best hurdler, best jumper in the field as well when he's on song. He started the season brilliant at Ascot. Then he won the international at Cheltenham when I think the trip was probably on the sharp side, and he didn't look his best, and he still managed to win. He's a tough horse. Then he disappointed behind Goshen at Wincanton on absolutely horrendous ground. But I thought the ride was interesting because this horse is at his best when he's going forward, not necessarily pressing the pace, but definitely being on it or near it. And he was held up. And it just looked to me like they were getting him ready for the Champion Hurdle. Then he didn't run in the Champion Hurdle because something happened with the owner. The owner's not in great health, so he said he wanted to see him run at Aintree. I think that's a good move because this trip is definitely a better trip. I think 2 miles is just sharp enough for him. 2.5 miles is perfect. And I'm a little bit worried, to be honest. Like 12 to 1 is a colossal price. Mm-hmm. It's huge. Like I genuinely mean it is massive. But I'm wondering, is it so good that somebody knows something that I don't? And that is my only worry. I respect the market, but Tom Simmons is a smaller outfit. He's probably a horse that bookies would like to take on as well. So I'm hoping that's all that's in it. Because if the vibes pre-race are strong, the prices that are on offer about him now are very, very, very big. So he's definitely worth getting on side now at that price, and then just see what the trainer says on the lead up to the race, because there's no doubt in my mind this horse is good enough to win this race if right, and he's a colossal price.
I think he's just not a sexy horse for a sexy man, trainer, for one of them.
Tom's very sexy.
No disrespect to Tom Simmons, you know what I mean? Like profile-wise, I can see why he's not that. Sam, make your case. You know what I'm trying to get at. I can see why.
Any man with plenty of hair, called Tom sexy to me. You know that.
There you go.
I can't understand it either. The price that he is, because the money and the avalanche of cash for Jason the Militant this afternoon has been quite astonishing, to be honest. I do understand why it's been back, but stamina's unconfirmed as yet. He's by Son Frontier. He was a mile 6 winner on the flat for Jeremy Nacida, stayed well. So you think it's within his remit on decent ground, but he's not a certainty. Same with Abracadabra. Some of the Sneezy Foster's horses have just dropped off a cliff a little bit post Cheltenham. I don't think they ran particularly well at Fairy House over the weekend, so that'd be a bit of a concern for me. McFabulous and Brewing Up a Storm win a little bit of a tin pot race at Fontwell. They won't like me saying that, but McFabulous jumped horribly and Brewing Up a Storm took advantage of that. I think the track will suit McFabulous more. The two I like at prices, they both look class horses for me, and they were both 12 to 1 for Champion Hurdle to beat Honeysuckle and Epatante until they both went different ways. And that's Bouverdare, who should be really well suited by a bit of juice in the ground, not tragic ground, but a bit of juice in the ground, a speed track like this and a good pace to aim at. Nice fresh horse as well. And Song for Someone, who I think is crying out for 2.5. I think it would have been madness to run in the Champion Hurdle myself. I see him more as a potential Stayers Hurdle horse next year, if I'm honest. I think this is the perfect test for him. Obviously, David Bath takes over from Aidan Coleman, which, you know, some people might query just because Aidan knows him so well. But he got blown away by Goshen at Wincanton, but that was very much a home game for Goshen. You know, right-handed, deep ground, speed track like that. That'll suit him much more than it would for someone who's probably coming out of quite a hard race at Cheltenham. He's fresher than most, just to echo a theme that we've used throughout the pod. And I'll be backing them both, probably win and place at 12-1 or bigger, 13.0, as Deasy likes to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see it. Helen agrees with you with Boover. I think McFabulous was he 8.0, Deasy? I think he is
big price.
I really think that's a big price. I think that's a win and place, absolute bet to nothing, split stakes. That's sort of, you know, that's best bet, max bet material for me. You know, he was giving weight to Brewing Up a Storm, who's no slouch. I totally take the point that race, you know, in comparison to this, it's you know, it's a lesser race. But Fontwell wasn't going to suit. You know, this horse was being campaigned early this year as a Stayers Hurdle horse, and I think it's absolutely right that he didn't run him in the 3 mile race here, and that they are going 2.5. But from a long way out, everyone's been saying this is the race for him, and I totally agree. He made a horrible mistake as well last time, and he just didn't jump great. But other than that, he's been very good at his obstacles so far. I think he probably wants good ground. I think it was probably a bit softer than ideal at Kempton, and he was mighty impressive that day. So I think when I looked at the race yesterday, the early markets, he was sort of buying for favouritism, and I was a bit cagey about whether I was going to put him up or not. 8.0 and in the place market as well. I think that's best bet material. I'm really surprised he's that sort of price, and much of that is because Jason the Militant's been well supported. I don't see it, so I'm going against him with McFabulous. Anything to add to the Aintree Hurdle, gentlemen?
Yes, quickly, please. Denise Foster, just as we were going on here, operating at a 4% win rate at the moment. Henry de Bromhead, who's got the favourite, Jason the Militant, 3% win rate at the moment. Just thought I'd factor those, just mention those two. And Abracadabra, so I've had a look at his pedigree. He's got I know visually he doesn't strike you as a horse who will stay because he travelled so well. He has got every chance of staying on his pedigree. Honestly, he really does. The dam, I think, was was by Cadu Dal, who has got numerous stayers over the years. I think was he the sire of Long Run and a couple of horses like that. I'll have a look. And even his stallion Davidoff, a lot of his best progeny have actually been 2.5, 3 milers. So if the ground is good and Abracadabras is in good order, I think he could be a decent bet in running. I think he'll obviously trade a lot shorter, but we'll see what the ground does. But yeah, I just wanted to mention those couple of things.
Yeah, I think that's very worthwhile. 100%. Given the strength of the Irish at Cheltenham, I think that's well worth taking into account. Go on, Deasy, you better put your horse up, mate.
Thanks, Tom. I really fancy Brewing Up a Storm for this. I think that this is the perfect trip from. I think the money for Jason the Militant is because another fairly famous tipster from Tipperary put him up today in a column for another betting exchange. I think that's where all the money for him has come from today, and that's making the market for a lot of other horses. And I think Brewing Up a Storm is a cracking bet for this. I think he's been way better since he's gone back hurdling. I thought he was very good the last time. I know you think that it didn't suit Mac Fabulous, but I think he absolutely kicked him out the way. He has run well over 2.5 miles of the Aintree a few years ago. He finished second to Reserve Tank. Reserve Tank went to win at Punchestown a few weeks after that, so he was in the form of his life that time. Putting Up a Storm is 8.8. I think that's a very nice win bet and a good chunky place bet. And I'll be backing Song for Someone as well, because I feel like I deserted him and not put them up this. I put him up a few times at the start of the season and he won for me. And I just kind of overlooked him for this, but I will have a bit of him as well. I didn't realise he was pulled out of Cheltenham because there was an issue with the owner. I know his owner is sick, so might have a little small winning place on him as well.
And Tom Simmons has been on the post pretty complimentary about his chances. Everything's gone to plan, it seems, since then. Right, let's move on to any other bets. So anywhere you like, you can sit it out. You can stick something up if you want. Dees, you go first.
Yeah, I like. I think Gaelic Coast is a mighty price, and I'm just getting the market up here now. In the 440, he's down the bottom here. He's 18.5. He has beaten Getaway Trump, I think, 2 runs back. He beat him fairly easily. And Brian Hughes is the jockey book for this. Now, Brian Hughes is skipping Aintree on Friday. He's going to Sedgefield. So there must be at least one of his runners that he fancies here on Thursday. And I think Gaelic Coast could be the one. And Brian Hughes has actually won this race twice in the last 6 years. So he knows how to win it. Donald McCain, of course, is a local trainer. And I think he's most definitely been targeted at this. And the other horse that kind of took my eye, the big price, was Yanmat. Henry de Bromhead's other runner, Rachel Blackmore's on him. I just think that he's probably more of a summer horse than a winter horse, and a bit of better ground might suit him. And again, Henry has won this a few years ago at Moon over Germany, and Yanmat has double the price. I think I'll happy enough a small winning place on him at 28.0.
And Moon over Germany is back. What price in that race, if you got it up, is the King of May, Dees?
36.0.
That's a big price for the King of May, I think. So I'm gonna side with the King of May here, who has got some good form, behind Zanza at the start of the season, then behind First Flow, only a 3/4 of a length behind First Flow at Wetherby on the 27th of December on ground that would have just been 2 testing. It was 2 testing back there again, and then he had a spin in a jumper's bumper. He is just £2 above his last win. I think the ground is ideal, just good to soft is exactly what he wants. I thought he was a fair old price for a yard going along all right at the moment. Again, win and place. Do you have the mare's bumper prices up, Dees? I thought, obviously, Eileen Dover is going to be a warm order, and I don't want to take her on necessarily at all. I think, I'd love to go her to go and win. But Miss Lamb is knocking around at fair prices, I thought.
The market here is a bit empty now. Miss Lamb is up at 9.4.
Okay.
We might get better than that. Eileen Dover is 1.92.
Yeah, which is where she is everywhere else. I think when that fills out, Miss Lamb will be a fair bit bigger than that. And the view being that because she was beaten by Eileen Dover last time, she won't reverse that form, and they tend to be under bet a bit. I just think win and play, she could be a really good bet. She was pulled out of Sandown, I think it was, because the ground was on the easy side. This will be absolutely perfect. Thought she's run okay on testing ground, and she split Grangie and Eileen Dover. I think she's a fair price, to certainly finish in the frame. So I'll be backing her small win and place as well. Rixie, any other bets for Thursday or no?
No, I was. I'm going to leave it at that. I was interested in Zanza because I think if he, in the Red Rum, if he puts it all together, I'm convinced he's a well-handicapped horse. But he didn't exactly. He was unlucky. He wasn't quite brought down, but he was really stopped in his tracks at Cheltenham the last day. But up until that, he didn't convince with his jumping. But look, it's going to be interesting to see how some of these horses perform without Richard Johnson now that he's retired. Look, everybody knows Richard Johnson, but was a fabulous jockey, a brilliant man or whatever. But I just think the little part of his game that maybe lacked sometimes was finesse. And I do think some horses might go better for the likes of Tom O'Brien and Micheál Nolan and these kind of jockeys. And I think Zanza is probably one of those horses who just a little bit of different handling, kind of maybe more pop away and leave him get into his own rhythm than asking him up. If he gets into a rhythm in that Red Rum and he jumps well, I'm convinced he's well handicapped. But it's a big if. But I'm kind of half talking myself into it now. I might have a small win bet on him, win only. But yeah, the jumping is a worry. But different jockey, different handling. We'll see how he goes.
It was through him I got to King of May. I like Zanza a lot, and then I thought the King of May form made King of May just look too big at the prices. Also, Philip Hobbs not in the greatest of form, but I completely agree. I think if he gets into a rhythm, I'll probably end up backing him as well. Now you've said that, you talked me into it as well. Sam, Hunter Chase. It's all right. Hunter Chase bets. Did you have one?
Yeah, just because we haven't touched on it. A couple I'll probably play. Obviously, Billaway's favourite after his narrow defeat to Porlock Bay in the Cheltenham version. Cat Tiger's an interesting runner. Dave Maxwell wouldn't have had many rides back since the amateurs resumed, and obviously it's great to see him back riding over these fences after that horrible injury he suffered. But I'm going to go with a couple of horses here, ridden by, well-experienced pros. Samatagal, I like this interim trip for him. I don't think he quite gets 3 or 3 1/4 on soft ground, but I think 2-6 on a flat track on decent ground. I think that's absolutely ideal for him. He'd probably be my main play, and then Dashing Perk would be the other one. So a couple of runs over the Mildmay course this year and run really well. He's sort of an exuberant front-running type. I think he'd be well suited by the rigours of this race, and that sort of racer on decent ground can sometimes be sort of hard to kick out the frame in these sort of races if they can get into an early rhythm. Sam Whaley-Cohen rides as well, so I think double figures for him is fair. So I'll probably play the 2.
Yeah, around about 12.0, 5.5. Got an update on that, Dees? 5.5 for Samatagal, is that about right?
Samatagal is 6.8 and Dashing Perk is 17.5.
Oh, you've got, I tell you what, so that's much, much bigger on the Matchbook exchange. That's a big price for Dashing Perk, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a good price.
Yeah. Best bets time. Best bets for day 1 at Aintree. Sam Turner, your best bet.
Clondall Castle, Wynnum Place. 250. 250.
Stolen that one straight away. Totally agree. Deasy, your best bet.
Hitman, go on, Fergie.
Hitman for you.
Hitman.
That was the most Cork thing. That was the most Cork thing ever from a Man United fan. Brilliant.
I'm going McFabulous. McFabulous Wynnum Place. Go on, Fergie. And you, Rixie?
I'll take Clandazobo. Is Fergie involved there as well?
Yeah.
Bloody hell, it could be an absolute massacre on Merseyside.
He could have the treble up. He could have the treble up after 3 races.
Rixie, if you put up a Fergie horse, you've got to say, go on, Fergie, I'm afraid.
Come on, Fergie. Bye.
All right, let's move on to Friday, day 2. Where we've got 4 grade ones again. So let's get into the prices for the opening race. We're going to be looking at second race on the day, this one. DC.
So Dusart is the favourite at 3.2. Then you have Third Time Lucky, 5.2. Ajero is 8.4. Any News is 8.2. Belfast Banter is 9.4. For Pleasure is 9.8. And then you have Hooghry, 14.5. And big price of the rest.
This is for the top Novices Hurdle, I should say. Sam, kick us off with this one.
Yeah, not a race I'm in love with. I'd like to see a bit more of Dusart before I start taking 2 to 1 about him in a race where he's tackling a lot of horses with plenty of form. I mean, Rixie might be able to tell me because obviously he's very close to Nicky, but he did have a little bit of a setback, didn't he? This horse. That's why he missed his various targets, I think. But look, he looks all class. I like the Newbury to Aintree angle as well, better than the Newbury to Cheltenham angle, if I'm honest. But I'm just going to have a couple of small Wynnum Place bets. Belfast Banter, the county hurdle winner, loads of experience, decent ground horse. Should appreciate the strong gallop for Pleasure and 1 or 2 others. And Hooghry, who I think was given, Harry Condon was tied to some awful tactics at Cheltenham. Be handy on a horse that's keen and exuberant. If he'd have dropped him in, I think he would have gone close in the Fred Boodles. So I will go Wynnum Place on those 2.
Yeah, and he's obviously a very talented horse, I think, to still do what he did, Hooghry, the 4-year-old in here. Dees?
I'm going for Pleasure. I put him up in the Supreme as a kind of a back to lay angle instead of saying, back him to place. And that didn't click at all. So I think that this the Cheltenham run will actually bring him on. I was looking back at him and his best form they race him they race him to get him fit. And I think he ran very well at Cheltenham. I mean, he outstayed Soaring Glory, who absolutely trashed him in the Betfair Hurdle previous. I think he's a very good horse. I think front running will suit this track. He'll go off out in front. They'll have to catch him, and he's a nice price again today. He's 9.8, so I'd definitely be going halfway in half place.
Not quite that 41.0, but that was a good shout at Cheltenham when he got 3rd. I haven't got a play in this. It's the one race I thought Dusart made it too difficult because I don't know what to expect. Ajero was the closest I got, but I'm sitting it out. But you do like Ajero, Rixie?
Yeah, I do. I think he's just a very likeable horse. The one thing I would say with him is just keep an eye on the ground at Aintree, see what happens. It looks like they've been putting on plenty of water this week to me. So, and look, we all know what comes with the national meeting with the press and whatever. So if ever they're going to say they're not putting on, we've only put on 5 or 6 lads, but really it's 8 or 10. It's kind of that meeting kind of thing. So we're going to have to see how the ground plays out. I think the better the ground, the better his chance, to be honest. He's a very likeable horse, but he's by Red Jazz, I think, who was by Johannesburg, and he's a very fluent moving horse. So I think the better the ground, the better his chance. He's actually a half brother to Charbel, who the Baileys did very well with. So I just think Aintree on decent ground is really going to suit him. He looks like a really sharp horse. I think Dusart at the prices is a lay, to be honest. A couple of things. Look, he could be anything, but I'm happy you've got to be a layer at that price rather than a backer. He's a half brother to Simon Sig, and he did win nicely on his first start, beating Soaring Glory. But a couple of things. Soaring Glory gave him weight and a head start off a slow gallop that day. For pleasure in here, they're going to go a gallop, and this could be a real shock to the system for him. So I'd happily be a layer at those kind of prices with him. I think he's priced up on reputation. His form, I don't think, deserves him to be that short. But if he does go and win, he's in a very, very exciting horse for the future. But as I said, I'd rather be a backer than a layer at those prices. So, that's how I'm going to play that race there on day 2.
Louis Green, obviously, is a big fan of yours. Do you know Louis Green, Rixie?
Louis Green? I don't.
Yeah, he says you're a legend, apparently. Thanks, Louis.
Good man, yeah.
Someone does. No, we all do.
Tell Louis to open up them windows and let out the lies, will you? Legend. Henderson's got a really good record in this, but every single horse he's had win it in the last 10 years, ran in the Supreme and went down the Cheltenham route. It's really interesting, this horse. As you say, if he wins it, he's clearly very good. Let's move on to the Mildmay. Prices for this interesting contest. Deasy.
Yeah, so Chantry House is 2.66, Espoir Rome is 6.6, Fiddler on the Roof is 7.2, Chamblou is 7.0, The Big Breakaway is 8.0, Sporting John is 13.5, Silver Hallmark is 16.5, and Empire Steel is 22.0.
I'll just lead off with I want to take on Chantry House personally. I think the 3 miles and a furlong will probably suit that a little bit better. I thought he was short on I don't really know how to rate that Marsh last time, because Emboy Allen came down, and I just don't know what was going on with Chamblou and Harry Skelton's tactics. Whether he thought he's a Grade 1 winner over 3 miles, he'll stay on all day, and maybe he wasn't good enough. I don't know, but I want to give him another chance.
Maybe he wasn't good enough. Will you stop sitting on the fence? That was one of the worst rides of the festival. Let's be honest about it.
It was poor, wasn't it? It was poor.
It was horrific. It's as bad a ride you'll see in a Grade 1 ever.
What was he doing, Rixie? Why press on like that? No, go on. Why press? It was strange to press on, wasn't it?
Look, I think he obviously knew that I think, sorry to cut across you, Tom, but he obviously knew he won over 3 miles and he wanted to bring his stamina into play, but that is just not how you bring if you form over 3 miles and you drop to 2.5, going as fast as you can for a period of the race doesn't bring stamina into it. You've got to be calculated with, increase the pace slowly, bring your stamina into it that way. But it was a shocking ride, it really was.
And much less tactful than me, but yes, I don't think it was his best performance in the saddle at all. I think basically I like the horse. I think returning to a flatter track will suit, because his Grade 1 came at Kempton. Now the form of that may not be brilliant because he beat the Big Breakaway. The Snow Leopard S form isn't bad, but he's a good jumper. I really want to give him another chance. Heavy ground, he was found out by Sporting John, and hopefully the dead 8 lineup. No, I'll probably just go win only. It'd be a small bet, but I think in there is a really good horse in Chamblou. I just loved what he did at Kempton. And so I'm going to have a small bet on Chamblou, and not quite such forcing tactics, although still forcing to an extent, because here he might get away with it a bit more. But yes, a little bit more patience, I think. Nobody's with the Fav here. Dees, I know you're sitting it out. Sam, what do you think?
I wouldn't be keen to knock the Fav, because I thought he did. He still had to win the race last time. Thought he did well to win at Wetherby. He looked to gallop short that day and looked to blow up and then ran on again. I don't think he lacks speed, so I'm not convinced that a 3 mile and a furlong will be his option. I mean, everyone just pegged him immediately as a potential Gold Cup horse, but I don't think he lacks toe. Obviously his performances in a Supreme and those sort of races suggest that he got enough boot to run in those races. So thinking that he's just a dead 3 miler might be just a bit of a dangerous assumption. I mean, you just want the Tizzards to be in anywhere near a bit of form, don't you? I mean, the day one will obviously be a little bit of barometer of where they are. I mean, we saw a few green shoots of recovery with a couple of winners. And I thought, Corto the King went and won at Wincanton recently. You think, well, go on, then you turn the corner, and then everything else subsequently has just gone off the side of a cliff again. Otherwise, I'd be looking probably just to back Fiddler on the Roof place with the small win. I could see both of their horses running really well. I thought the Big Breakaway ran really well to try and serve it up to Monkfish. I thought that was a good performance. He paid for it ultimately, and that allowed the other horse to pick up the pieces, Fiddler on the Roof. But it's just, you're putting a lot of faith in the fact that the Tizzards usually do well at Aintree, and they bounce back to life here after what has been in recent years a disappointing festival for them, largely at Cheltenham. So I would have a token bet on Fiddler on the Roof, but it wouldn't be any stronger than that.
Yeah, fair enough. Rixie, what did you make of the ride on Chamblou last time?
I thought he was a bit unlucky. He was hassled a bit, and I just made him go a bit quicker. But
go on,
I hate saying stuff like that about jockeys. Look, they have tough lives and all that, but we've got to be honest. These are professional sports people. If he was a Premier League player and he had a very bad game, it's said about it. Harry Skelton will know he had a poor Cheltenham, and let's just leave it at that. You're just sitting on the fence because he's afraid he'll turn you down for an interview in a couple of weeks. But anyway, thank God no one let me near a TV.
So true. It's so true. Go on, who do you like? You want the without market, right?
Yeah, I do. But I look, it looks a bad race to me, and I think Chantry House's form, even though that's not outstanding, I think it's still the best on offer. But I have no interest in backing a horse who had a tough enough race like he did last time at Cheltenham. Sometimes I watch him run and I wonder, does he need cheek pieces, or does actually Nico de Bonneville need cheek pieces? Because everything he rides just seems to look like they're flat out. And it's just probably Nico's style of riding, to be honest.
Are you going for the list, are you, Rixie? How many more we got to have a go at here?
No, I'm not. That's not having a go at Nico. It's just his style. I like Nico. Nico gets a bit of stick, but I like him, to be honest. I think stepping up and trip for Chantry House could be ideal, to be honest. But look, I just think it doesn't look a great race. I was a little bit disappointing with the Big Breakaway in how he didn't pick up after 3 out at Cheltenham. He didn't pick up, and then Harry Cobden got after him again. And I just wondered, did he take a blow? And that race might put him spot on for this race. That's how I was kind of looking. That's how it looked to me. And I think it's interesting that the Tizzards are backing him up relatively quickly enough now. And obviously he started a lot shorter in the betting than Fiddler on the Roof the last day. The way I'm going to play it, and look, it's a tentative bet because, as Sam's already suggested, the Tizzards have had, so many false stones this year. It's going to be a tentative, the Big Breakaway without Chantry House for me in this race.
Big Breakaway.
And good luck to all the jockeys who are very good at their jobs.
Well said. Well said. We move on. Yeah, he's a future jockey's agent, Rixie. The Melling Chase is now the Marsh Chase. It's registered that we're going with the Melling Chase. Easier to stick with that. Prices for the Melling, Dees.
So Fakir Delivery is the favourite at 3.8. Then you've Politlog is 4.0. Master Tommy Tucker is 7.0. Notebook is 7.8. Dashel Drasher is 8.0. And Nutswell is 9.8. Itchy Feet is 21.0 and Duke de Geneva is 36.0.
Couple of shouts then for Politlog first of all. So Sam, lead us off.
Almost by Well, I just ended up on him, really. I do like the Allaho form, but I do wonder that it was such a brutal race that it might well take its toll on Fakir Doudary. Plus, he's not exactly a prolific winner, is he? He sort of grinds his way into contention and then just finds a way somehow of managing to finish second. I don't think he's a dodge. I just think he probably lacks a bit of toe. I think he'd be better probably setting up to 3 mile with some cut in the ground next year, but they haven't been keen to try it yet. Politolo's got the form around the track. As much as I like Harry Cobden, I wouldn't mind Harry Skelton on this, Rix's mate, because he's 2 from 2 on him, and he does really ride him particularly well. So it's not a negative that HC's on, but you just got to build that and factor that into the bet really at the price that Harry Skelton does get a really good tune out of Politolo. I'm probably going to back him, and I'm also going to have a small bet, I think, on Nutswell, who was the old Rome winner from October. He beat Clondor Castle that day, so at least you'll have a good line into the form. I think at sort of 8 and 10 to 1, he's not a bad each way play in the race if you haven't got a strong view. He acts well at Aintree. He goes with a bit of dig in the ground. He's got a very good record fresh. They've kept him off for 166 days. Can you have a 10-year-old winning a Grade 1? Probably not, but look, he's fresher than most, and he's at least it's a home gig for him. Danny McMenamin gets on really well with him. His stats on him are terrific. So there are a lot of positives for him, really. And if 1 or 2 do underperform here, like Fakir Doudary off the back of a brutal Cheltenham run, Master Tommy Tucker, these fences are stiff enough. Is that going to be ideal for him? Politologue can get beat. We saw that at Ascot when First Flow turned him over. So it's not a top-notch Grade 1. So I think Nutswell will run well and probably belie his price a little bit here.
But so sort of officially, Politologue and Nutswell would be your 2.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a massive betting race for me, no. But I'd have a reasonable bet Politologue and a smaller each way Nutswell.
The 10-year-old Nutswell you like, Dees?
I do. I think Sam has kind of made the argument there, but I think Nutswell is an absolute max bet in the place market. I can't see him out of the top 3, just because this is his Gold Cup. This is what he's been aimed at all year. He's 10 is probably his only real chance now at a Grade 1. He will be spot on for it, and I think he has every chance of winning it. But he'll definitely be in the top 3. So I'd be going probably a quarter win and a good chunky place bet then.
Quarter win, 3/4 place bet for Dees on Nutswell. How big a stake would you have Politologue, Rixie?
Probably nearly be pushing 2 points win, I think. I just, despite his advancing years, it looks like a bad race, but his form is still comfortably the best on offer here for me. His record fresh is very good. One of the best performances of his career came at Aintree. So yeah, look, he missed the Champion Chase, obviously, which was a shame. And given how in the end how disappointing that race was, despite his age, he probably would have gone very close in the Champion Chase this year if he managed to produce what he did the year before. I think kind of getting back on some nicer ground is going to be a big plus for him as well. And he's probably the best jumper in the field as well. So yeah, a lot of my bets this week are actually going to be kind of freshness, Paul Nicholls kind of. Not angles, but that's the way I'm going to be playing him. He looks like he's got the best horse in plenty of races. They're coming here fresh, and the stable is still in very good order. So, I think Politologue, I think he's going to take a fair bit of beating again here, to be honest.
Go on, Fergie. Oh, it's not Fergie.
Go on, Fergie. Bye.
Rixie, did you bat Notebook? Did you put up Notebook at Cheltenham?
No, at Cheltenham I put up Nuber Negra. Written by Harry Skelton.
You did, yeah. What did you make of that?
Well, I didn't go fast, and he was probably in the second worst position tactically. So yeah, it wasn't a great one again, was it? Took a while to get after him as well, but anyway.
So I only asked because I thought somebody here, because I'm interested about Notebook stepping up in trip. I like him here. When he was second to Chacun Pour Soi at Leopardstown, I thought he was crying out for a step up to 2.5. As you sometimes get with these Henry de Bromhead horses, A Plus Tard, who's tried over the minimum, he looked better when he went over further. The Gold Cup winner of a few years ago before joining Jessica Harrington. I think he's worth a go. He then was ridden really forward at Leopardstown at the Dublin Racing Festival, and it didn't really suit. And I'm just willing to put a line through Cheltenham. So I'm sort of trying to take my mind back to Leopardstown Christmas time and go, I really thought he was a horse that wanted to try further. That's where I'm at. Small bet at the prices. Probably just a small win bet, to be honest. And that's where I am. I just think he's really worth trying, chancing up in trip over 2.5 and riding more patiently again. Anything to add to the Melling, gentlemen? No, we move on. Sefton Novices Hurdle. Betting, Deasy. Klaxon, mute Klaxon. He was doing so well.
Oh no, it looks like, I thought he frozen there.
We're back. It's okay.
He's back.
He was shouting, "Go on, Fergie!" by in his mind.
Go on, Fergie. Yeah. Oh, I miss shouting that. So the favourite for the Sefton Novices Hurdle is Brave Man's Game at 2.96. Then you have Cape Gentleman at 7.6. Oscar Elite is 11.0. Streets of Diana is 12.5. Galley Hill is 12.5. Midnight River is 16.5. Ala Felipe is 16.5. And Champagne Super Over is 17.5. Big price then for the rest of them.
Rixie, you've got no bet in this. That's fine. Deasy, who do you like?
I like Midnight River, even though he has drifted a small bit. I think that he, as I said earlier, I don't fancy any of the horses that would run in the Albert Bartlett. I honestly think that's a hard race for novices, for young horses. Cape Gentleman, I don't think going up to 3 miles is ideal for him. Brave Man's Game is probably the best horse in the race, but he's a bit short. So I stuck with Midnight River. He was absolutely punted off the boards in the October meeting at Cheltenham in the very first race, but does he know beat him? That proved to be decent enough for him. He beat Galley Hill recently at Ascot. He's I think he would have gone very close at Warwick in the Leamington Novices Hurdle there in January. He hit the last. He was a bit unlucky. I think he's just fresher than Denham. He's a nice price at 16.5, and I'll be having a small win and a place bet on him.
I am going to go on a line through that form, but go with Galley Hill, who I thought over a bit further and having smartened up a touch from them may just have beaten him, or I think we'll reverse that form here at a similar sort of price. It's a small bet, but I quite like this race for horses that are stepping up in trip. Some have won it having tried 3 miles before, but it can often be a sort of lightly raced stepping. The complete opposite to the Albert Bartlett almost, where you want experience and horses that have probably tried the trip before. I like going the other way with this, and he sort of fits the bill. So it will be a small win and place for me with Galley Hill. And Sam, you like him and one other?
Yeah, Bothwell Bridge. I won't labour too much on Galley Hill. You've sort of covered that. But Bothwell Bridge, it's the Nicky Henderson line, really. He's done very well in this race. I went for a touch on one of his Beyond Conceit, which just got run out of it by the World's End, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. Beat that also as a good winner of this race. I think he's had a fair bit of success in this race. And I like the fact that Bothwell Bridge, he's only had that one notable run really around Hereford where he bolted up and justified odds on. But he's got 10 lengths to find with Brave Man's Game from their run, obviously, at Newbury in the Challow. Yeah, he's 20-1. Brave Man's Game's 2-1. He's had a hard race at Cheltenham. He's an embryonic chaser. He's going to be, an RSA or whatever it is, that novice chase next year. That's going to be his main target. He's going to the well again after a hard race at Cheltenham. And this lad, we haven't seen him since the 28th of Feb. He's nice and fresh. He comes from a top stable, and he's an unconsidered, 21.0 or 21.0, as Deasy likes to say. So I'll probably back the both, just small each way, I think.
Yeah, I can see both of those, very much so. Anything to add there? We went through that very quickly, didn't we? But I think we were concise and to the point. We move on.
That's what happens when I don't cover a race.
Exactly.
They're just talking shite
about jockeys.
Other
bets. We'll go around as I see you. So, Sam Turner, any other bets for Aintree on Friday?
I'm going to take a chance with Edward Stone in the first race. I'll put him
Jonesy's
up in the
been
county.
on to you. Jonesy's been on to you, hasn't he? His favourite horse.
Well, I put him up in the county hurdle, didn't I? And he was sort of fifth. He couldn't go the gallop, which I couldn't believe on decent ground. He was a bit out of his ground, to be honest, Tom Cannon, but he was probably flat to the boards. He only got beat 3 lengths in the end. Obviously, we like to see him travel away a little bit better than he did there, but he's a course winner at Aintree. I think the step up in trip should suit him. I know he's got loads of weight, but I think, sort of maybe might be double figures. That'll be a very fair bet for me. So Edward Stone, I'll keep the faith.
Got a price for us, Dees?
12.0.
Look at that. Lovely job. 12.0. Your other bets, Deasy?
I like Mr. Coffee in the first race. I think that the return to better ground will be a huge bonus for him. I think he's a nice horse, and again he's 11.0, so that'll be a win in the place bet. And in the top I really like the look of Vizio, man. Henry the Bromhead's horse now. He's fairly well found in the market. He's 9.0. He might actually be close to favourite now. But his owner, I think he used to be the chairman of Aintree Racecourse, Alan Hansel. This looks like a complete another plot horse for a Grand National till maybe next year or the year after. His first run in England is over the national fences, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if he scooted home. So I'll put him up as well.
Have you got a lust for glory going on as well, or did you give me that on the sly without?
She's 48.0. I'll see about that tomorrow or on Friday.
Okay.
if I'm feeling rich, if I'm feeling saucy.
You're normally feeling saucy.
Yeah. Friday.
What price is Outlander, DC, in the Topham?
Outlander is now 110.0, Tom.
Oh yeah! Now we're talking.
He was 95 before the broadcast, so you're getting
more
value by the minute.
We're going to have 5 places, right? Matchbook on the day, we hope.
We'll have 5 places, yeah.
I think this horse is mainly in that, I'd be sort of talking 90% 5 places market bet and maybe a 10% on the win, just in case some crazy shit happens. But this Outlander, I thought it was so wacky that I called Richard Spencer on the way home today. And I said, am I a complete fool for thinking this horse has got a chance? Because I don't want to find out he's running because he's 13 and everyone's thinking, why not? Let's just give him a spin, the old boy. He said he's absolutely fine. He really needed the run at Ascot off the back of a big old break. He travelled well, and he felt sort of, to place, he was a half decent shout. He loved his time of it when finishing 9th, getting only £1 from Tiger Roll in the National a couple of years ago. He's beaten 31 lengths, but he jumped the fences beautifully when he was rated 158. He rocks up here off 133. He travelled a long way in the cross country last year before getting run out of it. Now, this could be far too sharp for him, but honestly, off a mark of 133, I think this is just a great shout. I think this is a decent shout to place. I can't quite believe he's that sort of price. He might be tailed off, but I'm half excited about this one. I'll only be watching one horse in the race for as long as he's in the picture anyway. Right, Rixie, have you got anything for this? Or are you done?
I'm interested in Caribbean Boy in the Topham.
Okay.
I thought he ran well behind the shunter last time out. I thought the horse didn't look like he wanted to line up, and Daryl Jacob maybe got a little bit bullied out on the start, and the horse lost kind of ground. And instead of being prominent, he ended up back in midfield. But nothing came off the pace in that race, and he was running on very, very well. I just think the better the ground, the better his chance. But I'm just worried with how much water they're putting on at Aintree. The times tomorrow I think are going to be really important. We'll have to see what the likes of Simon Rowlands or that are saying. Just as I said at the start, just given the week that's in it, wouldn't be surprised if they're putting on more than they really should be. So that's the only thing tempering my enthusiasm with him, because I think the better the ground, the better his chance. So hopefully this ground, because I actually just looking at the weather there, they're reported they're going to get a couple of ground frosts as well. And if there's water on top of that as well, the ground just could be absolutely filthy. So I just mind your bets this week, especially if you're looking for proper good ground horses. So as I say, mind your bets after we're covering about 10 races, telling you who to bet. But anyway, And the other thing I wanted to mention, I've seen a couple of interviews with Nico de Bonville over the last week, and he keeps on mentioning the Henderson horses and the bumpers. He said he keeps saying, "Oh, myself and Sean Bowen, there's not much between them." I just thought that was interesting. Just maybe keep an eye on the Henderson horses and the bumpers this week. Just every interview that he was asked about Aintree, he kept on saying this. So I just thought that was interesting and worth maybe giving it a shout.
Worth keeping an eye on with Nico and his cheek pieces. Right, Sam, I'm going to come to you for best bets first because I know you're going to shoot after that. So what's your best bet on Friday? Then we'll say goodbye to you.
Edwardstone, I think. I'm going to go Edwardstone in the first race.
Lovely. Edwardstone in the opener. Cheers, Sam. You can do a runner whenever you like, boss. Lovely to see you. Pleasure as always.
See you, Sam.
DC, your best bet?
Nutswell to place. All in.
Nuts. Really? All in. Love it. Nutswell for you. Rixie, your best bet?
Probably Politolog, to be honest. I just think he could, but he's got a lot of class on his side in that race. Goes well fresh, likes Aintree, Nichols' team in good order, jumps well, bang.
And I'm taking you on with my best bet being Notebook. I got to say, it's not a really bold best bet. Oh, I tell you, I blubbed. My God, did I cry?
Happens to the best of us, mate.
He's brutal. That and my girl. Oh my God. Anyway,
see,
I'm going.
This is why you can't go wrong with Dumb and Dumber. You know, good vibes. Exactly. Much safer.
Lovely. Don't forget the offer. 30 days you've got from when you sign up to it. Don't forget that. Use the code INSIGHTS and you get 0% commission on all sports for those 30 days. Have I got that about right, Dees?
Spot on, Tom.
Thank you very much. Right, we can say what we like about Sam now.
Oh, what a tosser. Fucking hell.
He's off. Thanks very much, everyone.
I could see him just like when you started going on about the frost in Aintree there, Rick. So he was just like
twitching. probably not the only one, to be fair, but anyway.
Sam, we love you if you're watching this back. Deasy, thank you very much indeed. Rixie, top man, good stuff.
Cheers, lads. Thanks very much.
Thanks everyone at home for watching. An absolute pleasure as always to have you along. And 24 hours time, bit less now, 23 for the Grand National preview, Thursday, 6 p.m. We will see you there. Bye-bye.
Go on.